I used to think strength meant endurance. Late nights, empty rooms, the low hum of machines still running somewhere in the distance, a desk lamp casting a small circle of light over unfinished thoughts. I told myself that if I could outwork the doubt, outlast the pressure, outthink the chaos, I would be strong. I prayed for resilience, not in a dramatic way, just quiet conversations in the dark. The kind no one hears, the kind that feel almost embarrassing to admit. I didn't ask for love. I asked for the ability to carry more. And then you arrived. Not like a storm, not like some cinematic shift in the universe. You came in softly, ordinary, almost easy to overlook if I had still been measuring life in milestones and metrics. You didn't try to impress me. You didn't seem intimidated either. You just sat across from me one evening, hands wrapped around a warm cup, listening in a way that felt unfamiliar, not listening to respond, not listening to extract, just listening. I remember noticing the quiet first. There's a specific kind of silence that exists when someone is fully present. It doesn't feel empty. It feels steady, like gravity. I didn't realize how tired I was until I felt that. For years, I had trained myself to move forward regardless of exhaustion. Emotionally, mentally, physically, forward was the only acceptable direction. But with you, something slowed. I would come home late, mind still racing, and you would be there, not demanding conversation, not asking for a performance of affection, just existing in the same space. Sometimes we said very little. You'd read. I'd sit nearby pretending to focus on something else. The sound of a page turning, the faint clink of a spoon against ceramic. Ordinary sounds. Unremarkable. And yet those evenings began to feel like the most stable part of my life. It confused me at first. I had always associated strength with isolation, with standing alone against whatever came, needing less, feeling less. You never tried to dismantle that belief directly. You didn't argue with it. You simply showed up in a way that made it unnecessary. I think that was the first shift. I started noticing small things. The way you would rest your hand on my back when you passed by. Not to claim me, not to hold me in place. Just a brief acknowledgement. The way you'd ask, "Are you okay?" and actually wait for the real answer. No one had waited for the real answer in a long time. At first, I didn't know how to give it. I would default to efficiency. I'm fine. Just busy. It's handled. You never pushed. You just looked at me in that steady way of yours, and somehow that was enough to make me reconsider. I remember, one night in particular, the house was quiet. Almost too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own breathing. I had just come from a long day of decisions that would affect thousands of people I would never meet. Responsibility has weight. It lingers even after the room empties. I sat at the edge of the bed staring at nothing. You came in without turning on the overhead light. You sat beside me, close enough to feel your warmth but not touching. After a while, you said very softly, "You don't have to carry it alone." It wasn't a dramatic statement, but it landed somewhere deep, because I realized I didn't even know how to let someone help me carry anything. Strength, to me, had always meant silence. But you showed me another version. Strength is openness. Strength is allowing yourself to be seen on a day when you feel uncertain. Not broken, not defeated, just human. I didn't understand how rare that was until it was gone. When we ended, it wasn't explosive. There were no shattered plates, no accusations thrown like weapons. It was quieter than that, almost respectful. Two people recognizing that love doesn't always guarantee alignment, that care doesn't automatically solve timing, that sometimes the same qualities that bring two people together also reveal where they're different. In the weeks after, I kept reaching for my phone at certain hours. There's a particular moment at night, somewhere between productivity and sleep, when the mind softens. That's when I used to call you, not to discuss anything monumental. Just to say something small I had noticed, a thought, a line from a book, a question about nothing. That hour still exists. But now, it's silent. I thought I would feel anger or regret sharp enough to resent. Instead, I felt something quieter, recognition. You were never sent to make my life easier. You were sent to show me where I was rigid, where I mistook endurance for wholeness. I began to see how often I had equated love with intensity, with passion, with grand gestures and big risks. But with you, love was found in repetition. In you placing a glass of water on my desk without interrupting, in you falling asleep mid-sentence because you felt safe enough to, in the way you didn't flinch when I admitted I was afraid of failing, not publicly, but privately. Failing myself, becoming someone hardened by success rather than softened by growth. You never tried to fix that fear. You just held space for it. After you left, the house felt larger, not emptier in a dramatic sense, just less inhabited, The lamp still cast the same circle of light. The floorboards still creak in the same places. The air still cools at the same hour of night. But the energy shifted, and in that stillness I began to understand what I had been given. I had asked for strength. What I received was the experience of being loved without performance, being seen without armor, being supported without being diminished. It took losing you to fully grasp that, not because I didn't appreciate you, but because growth sometimes arrives disguised as comfort. And comfort can be mistaken for simplicity, and simplicity can be undervalued when you're accustomed to complexity. I don't replay our memories with desperation. I don't wish to rewrite them. There's no hidden fantasy where we try again and fix everything. What we had was complete in its own way. It shaped me. I move differently now. I pause more often. When someone asks how I am, I try to answer honestly, even if the answer is unfinished. I allow silence to exist in conversations without rushing to fill it. I learned that vulnerability doesn't erode authority. It deepens it. That lesson didn't come from books or pressure or failure. It came from sitting across from you while you quietly waited for me to speak. Sometimes I wonder if you knew what you were doing, if you understood that your steadiness was recalibrating me. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you were just loving in the only way you knew how. Either way, it changed something fundamental. I don't see our ending as a loss. I see it as integration. You became part of the architecture of who I am now, not as a scar, not as unfinished business, but as reinforcement. There are still nights when I sit alone, light low, the world outside reduced to distant sounds. I think about the version of me before you. He believed strength meant never bending. Now I know better. Strength can look like resting your head against someone's shoulder without explaining why. It can look like admitting you're tired. It can look like loving someone fully, even if you both understand that love won't always mean forever. I asked for resilience. What I was given was tenderness, and in the quiet aftermath, I see that tenderness was the greater gift. I hope you're somewhere peaceful. I hope someone listens to you the way you listen to me. As for me, I still sit in this room sometimes, the lamp casting its soft light, the night stretching wide and patient. I breathe. I carry what needs to be carried, and I no longer confuse carrying it alone with being strong. There's a calm in that understanding, a quiet gratitude, not for what stayed, but for what was.